Call this meeting to order. Travis, if you give us the invocation, please.
Let's stand, please. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, Lord, to do business for this great community. We ask that you allow us to make the decisions that are successful and prosperous for this town and these people, Lord. We ask that you be with our employees, our staff, our volunteers, and all the citizens in this community as they live here and serve here, Lord. We ask that you be with those that are sick and those that have passed in the last month since we've been here, Lord. One last request, Lord, our school system, as our kids and children begin to go back to school and learn, Lord, I just pray that you be with the teachers and administrators and the staff as they serve in the very special way they do. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, say Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, gentlemen, we've got an agenda. Is there any changes anybody would like to make to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add to the consent agenda items 6, Advisory Board Committee appointments, and number 8, new hire report, and the item to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-31811A, sections 3, 4, and 6.
All right, that's for the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Yes,
I'd
sir.
also like to ask that we take business items 2 and 3 and move those to consent agenda as well.
2 and 3 is the bidding of janitorial services and the bid award for the ground maintenance contract. All right. Any other changes to the agenda? Need a motion to approve?
Move we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. All right. We'll wait for the Honorable Perry Harris to have a seat. We're going to start off with recognitions, which is actually one of the better parts of the job. And the first item is to recognize Officer Donna Curran and W. Thomas Lee. Chief Scott, can you come up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to ask Officer Donna Curran to step up here, please. Officer Curran is here this evening to receive some recognition. She is being provided with the Advanced Law Enforcement Certificate by the North Carolina Training and Standards Commission. In order for her to receive this award, she had to complete over 480 hours of training, work with the law enforcement community for over 6 years, and she also had to receive her bachelor's degree. Officer Curran is currently our accreditation manager for the Smithfield Police Department, which she has been doing that for almost 3 years now, which will let us come to our finalization of our accreditation here in October. I'd like everyone to work along with me to give her some recognition for receiving this award, please.
All done. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
I'd also like Officer Lee to step up here, please.
Congratulations. Great job.
Officer Lee is also here to receive his advanced law enforcement certificate from North Carolina Training and Standards. He also has received his bachelor's degree, completed his 480 hours of training, and his 6 years with the Smithfield Police Department. Officer Lee is currently our school resource officer assigned to the Smithfield Middle School. He's done an outstanding job there and will continue to do so in the future. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
If you want to shake everybody's hand, let's do it. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna run the meeting from here because I've got some more presentations that'll save you from bouncing back and forth. The next presentation is in recognition for the town clerk. Shannon Williams, come on down. Stand right there, please. Yes, sir. Paul Savison. Shannon has completed her certification for municipal clerk as designated by the International Institution of Municipal Clerks. I guess this party was done by the same thing. Shannon, right there. It's not much of a order, is it? Nice. Thanks. The last proclamation is recognizing Tim Johnson, Parks and Rec Director, for 30 years of service. Tim, come on up. Did you want to bring your wife and parents, anybody, or just yourself?
You want a picture?
Come on over real quick, Donna.
Dad wants to join us. If Mom and Dad want to come up, please.
Chief, did you want to come up?
30 years, we get a picture, right?
Come on. Yeah. I can say, I am going to read it.
No, I'm just
But I can safely say, of all the people I've worked with, Tim has been the nicest. I'm sure, I can imagine most department heads have gotten mad at the city council, people like Patrick or Chief Scott, going home and saying mean things about us, but I cannot imagine Tim doing it. He's a nice guy.
absolutely.
Thank you. About Patrick or that? All right, and I'm gonna read it because I think it's just worth reading. And frankly, some of the language is a little shocking to me. Because I'm gonna start out here. Whereas Tim Johnson has been a dedicated employee for 30 years and has announced that he will retire on July 31st, 2014. And whereas Tim Johnson has served the town of Smithfield as the Assistant Parks and Recreation Director from 1984 until 1997, and as a Parks and Recreation Director from 1997 until 2014. And whereas these years of service have been marked with exemplary dedication to the citizens of Smithfield, and he has worked constantly for the betterment of the community through recreational services, and whereas Tim Johnson's vision for the future needs of the community and perseverance were evident in 28 with the completion of the community park and again in 2009 with the opening of the Smithfield Recreation and Aquatic Center. And whereas Tim Johnson, and I don't know who wrote this one, is an extraordinarily hardworking, dutiful, and loving husband and father. And he is a generous member of the First Baptist Church of Smithfield and a generous helper in all parts of his community. And whereas Tim Johnson will continue to serve his community in his role as a volunteer fireman. Here's another paragraph I'm uncertain of. Whereas Tim Johnson has displayed the highest example of character, ethics, morals, and unselfish service. And whereas Tim has earned and justly deserved this public recognition for his many years of service and dedication to the town of Smithfield. Now, therefore I, John Harold Lampert II, Mayor of the town of Smithfield, along with the members of the town council, express our sincere appreciation to Tim Johnson for his distinguished service to the town of Smithfield, and urge our citizens to join with us as we extend our sincere appreciation for his work and wish him well in his future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Let's get everybody in. Get going. Group photo. Get your mom and dad. Have you guys, you stay in front of me. Yeah, you're talking. That's right. And you can shake hands with everybody. Thank you. No, sir. Tim would like to make a little.
Well, no, I do want to say thank you for, first of all, to Bill Jordan. I know he's not here tonight, my predecessor, for giving me the opportunity to come back home after completing my coursework at UNC Wilmington to help him. When I came back, there was Bill and 2 maintenance guys, and they pretty much did everything. So it's grown, obviously, tremendously in those years. And that's not without the support of then City Manager Hubie Talton to now Paul Sabiston, the mayors, and the councils. We were talking about the other day, I think in the last 20 years we've gotten, including the grant we got a couple weeks ago, a little over $3 million, I think about $3.3 million in grants. That wouldn't be possible without the councils through the years being supportive. About 2/3 of that, I think, had to be matched dollar for dollar. And, you know, it's over, we're not like a Carrier Raleigh that can do it all in 1 year, but that's okay. We get it done. And I think at the end of the day, you know, the goal is for it to be quality facilities and quality services. And I think we've done that with a lot of help, including councils and individuals through contributions and partnerships and just finding a way to get it done. So again, thank you for letting me serve, and I'll plan to stay involved and be around. Probably won't come to a lot of council meetings, but I'll be here. So thank you. Thanks again. Thank you, Shannon.
Tim, we have an opening on the planning board. Thank you, sir.
All right. At this time, we're going to go into a public hearing. And some items on our agenda require a public hearing, and we're going to go through the motions of opening and closing the public hearing. So, before I make those motions, we're going to be speaking about two items. One's a community block grant, where we get some funds to repair our water plant, and one will be a rezoning hearing that Olivia Holding is here for. If anybody would like to speak to those, they need to stand up and be sworn in by the city clerk before we begin this public hearing.
How do you want that?
Just in case.
And Ms. Holden, can you be sworn in as well? Yes, ma'am. Please
Yes,
raise
thank
your
you.
right hand. Do you solemnly affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask Ken Griffin to come up, and we're going to start on the public hearing involving the CDBG grants, number 545 and number 546.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you. As you know, this is the second public hearing that's required for us to make application for a community development block grant for improvements to our water plant. We very much need to make improvements to the intake structure facilities. This is a major grant on the order of about $2.6 million that we're applying to the North Carolina Department of Environmental and Natural Resources. They are administering the Community Development Block Grant Program for the state right now for this area. And we have two resolutions for you to consider. I have Sarah Zen with our engineering firm, the Wooten Company from Raleigh, who will come up now and present an overview of those two resolutions for your consideration. And if you pass those, we will include those in our application that goes early next month to the state.
You'll state your name, please.
I'm Sarah Zen with the Wooten Company. Good evening, council. Thank you for having us tonight. As Ken said, this is the second public hearing for the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant, which is CDBG. This is for the fiscal year 2014 round. As he mentioned, the funding is available through the U.S. Department of HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and we will be applying through the North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Division of Water Infrastructure. In fiscal year 2013, they had approximately $43 million available for CDBG, with $26 million available for infrastructure and approximately $16 million available for economic development. The state expects this funding allocations to be roughly the same for fiscal year 2014. The town is going to apply for approximately $2.6 million for a water improvements project, and with approximately $150,000 of local funds as the match. The first public hearing was held on June 3rd, 2014, and your proposed project is going to benefit your entire town. And currently your application deadline is 5 o'clock on September 2nd, but that should be changing to either September 30th or October 2nd. The state is currently waiting on some legislation to be passed, so it has not been set yet, but we are expecting that application date to be moved back, and if it is, we will let you know. Your current grant that you are applying for is, as I said, for water improvements. What the project is proposing to do is to construct a new water intake.
We're familiar with what it's about.
Okay. I have to explain it, unfortunately. So the water intake, the proposed project will create a new, will construct a new water intake 150 feet upstream from the current intake, and will have an airburst system will help move the sand, which is currently causing the town to have to dredge 4 times a year. By doing this, the town will not have to spend money on dredging. It will also not have to face problems during the moratorium months of dredging for February to June. At this time, the public hearing, what we need to do is adopt 2 resolutions. There is a resolution for the program manual, and what this is it's a lot of planning documents that will govern the grant if it is awarded. If the grant is not awarded, then the town is not encumbered by these plans. If it is, it will govern the town as it moves forward with the grant. And one very important plan in there that HUD requires us to discuss at your public hearings is your residential anti-displacement and relocation plan. This has nothing to do with water and sewer, but since this is a housing and urban development project, I do have to tell you that your residential anti-displacement and relocation plan is in your program manual. And what that does is it simply has a plan for the town if you were to demolish someone's house, where you would put them. As I said, this does not apply to your current grant that you're applying for, but we do have to mention it, so it has been mentioned. The other thing that you need to do is we need to pass a resolution from the governing body authorizing the application of the project itself. Do you have any questions?
All right. If there's no questions, at this time, I will close, move for a motion to close the public hearing.
I move we close the public hearing.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. Now,
Need
the
a motion
public,
on the resolutions?
well, first we're going to have, is there any questions from the council to staff right now, now that we're out of the public hearing into a regular session? All right.
The only question I have, Mayor, is to the staff. We had about 7 different proposals, different ways to do this. Does this lock us down on any one, or do we still have the options at that point, once it's awarded, the way it will be developed?
This is the final version. We're going to have,
There was several options.
Yes.
But we never selected an option as to how it would be constructed.
we did select an option. We selected one with the,
Okay.
built on the side of the Neuse River, the most expensive and option, of course.
Well, Ken, is there any leeway, I can't remember the numbers now, it may have been 2A or 2B, if I remember correctly, of the ones we looked at.
The option that had the lowest combined cost of
Right.
capital cost with long-term cost of operation and maintenance, that was the recommended option. That was the option that was selected when the plan was submitted and accepted.
Is there any leeway if there were a change of heart about one versus another, or, and Sarah, maybe you can answer this too, I don't know, if you, I mean, it's the same general project for water intake. If we decided to go with a slight amendment, would that be amending the whole proposal, or?
It would be amending the entire
Okay.
grant application. This is through DENR, which
Right.
is a different funding source than we're used to dealing with CDBG, so I don't know exactly how they would react, but you do have to go through a PER, a preliminary engineering report, again with them, and the design portion of it. So I would assume that if you're going to have the change of heart, you would want to do it before you complete the actual design. But in past years with DCA and with other funding agencies, what you apply for is what you have to do.
So I think that's pretty much a yes. We pretty much have to stick with it or go through probably an amendment process that could happen, but would take a little bit of time. I think that came up a little bit during the presentation. I think there was some thought by maybe Carl at Wooten that because the PER, the engineering report, it did include several different options. That I think his thought was, well, it would be a lot easier because it has been submitted. It is one of the options. Not you're going completely outside of that report, but it would still take an amendment process, it sounds like.
Okay.
We do have to complete an environmental assessment, and if it is found during that time that one of those options is better, then that would be the time to change course.
All right. What we're going to need to do is we're going to have 2 resolutions we're going to need to pass. So I'm looking to entertain a motion to approve resolution number 545.
Do we have to do them separately?
Yes, we do have to
I
do it
move we
separately.
approve resolution 545.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I move we approve resolution number 546.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. At this time, I'm going to ask the council, the next public hearing we're having is a zoning issue involving my cousin Olivia Holding owns some land, and she's having it rezoned. And I've had business dealings with her in the past, and have shared ownership, or my family has, with her and her family on land. So I'd like for the council to recuse me, and I'm going to let Andy run this part of the public hearing. But I need y'all to take a vote on that.
So make a motion to approve that request.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Moore's going to take over.
Next item is CUP 14-06, Olivia Holden, requesting a conditional use permit to operate an automotive sales lot on property located within a B3 district. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Mr. Mayor and Council, with your permission, I'll orient you to the location of the project. The project is located just north of the intersection of South 5th Street and US 301 Brightleaf Boulevard. And it's, this is the actual site plan itself. On this corner is there currently exists a car lot, and there is this is where 5th Street comes in right over here. This is 301. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate an automobile sales lot on property located in the B3 zoning district. The property in question has 1.77 acres. It's currently zoned B3. There is no proposed zoning change with this lot. The previous use on this lot most recently was vacant, undeveloped. In the past, it had been permitted by the council by conditional use permit as a car lot when Searles Automotive was there. The council at that time placed a condition on it that a stormwater management facility be constructed. Mr. Searles never constructed the facility, so therefore the conditional use permit that was initially issued is not valid. So that's why Mrs. Holding is here now requesting the conditional use permit for the lot. The zoning to the north is B3, to the south is R8, to the east is B3, and to the west is D3. Immediately behind the property is Dundee Street, and the public housing project units are located immediately behind that. The proposed automobile sales lot is a permitted use within the B3 zoning district, provided that the town council issue a conditional use permit. The applicant has provided a sketch plan, which is what is on the wall and is also in your packet, of the 1.77 acre tract showing improvements to the property to include a paved display area for 55 automobiles and 8 required parking spaces. A 36-foot wide driveway is proposed, allowing access to Brightleaf Boulevard. Cross access will be provided to the proposed car lot and proposed future retail store to the west. That is in the general direction of South 5th Street. In accordance with the Unified Development Ordinance, the landscaping will be installed and include a 20-foot landscape buffer with privacy fencing along East Dundee Street. A stormwater pond is proposed at the rear of the lot that will be engineered to serve the subject property. And might I add on that, it's currently under review by the town's stormwater engineer. The way our ordinance is worded, this lot may not require an actual stormwater pond, but that would be determined. So we would like in your motion to go ahead when you consider it later on tonight to take that into consideration, and if it's required, staff will review and approve a pond. If not, then the pond would be the property would be exempt. A location for a modularly constructed building is shown on the plan, as well as an accessory structure labeled as a shop. No building elevations have been provided by the applicant at this time. A lighting plan will be required showing all lamp fixture locations with full cutoff fixture design, and so you don't have overbleed of the light going onto the housing to the rear, to the south of the property. This required lighting plan must also show that no more than 2-foot candles of light will be leaving the property at any given time. Just to let you have a point of reference, 2-foot candles is about equivalent to being under a street light. So you can, at the property line, no more light than that can bleed from the property. The proposed development is consistent with the strategic growth plan. It is also consistent with the Unified Development Ordinance when the site plan improvement portion of the project is completed. The compatibility with the surrounding land uses, there is an existing car lot on properties on each side of this, so this is a continuation of similar uses. And there is one existing off-site advertising sign, a billboard that exists on the property. In addition to that, they're entitled to one ground sign for the business itself, and also a wall sign associated with the business can be had. Fire protection will be by the town of Smithfield. There should be no impacts on schools or parks and recreation. The access to the property will be from South Brightleaf Boulevard. Electrical, sewer, and utility provider for the property will be the town. The planning department's recommendation is that the proposed automobile sales lot be approved, providing all storage areas and parking spaces are paved with landscaping, and all the other minimum development standards are met in accordance with the UDO. Might I add on this, in a previous, as previously directed by the town council, your conditional permit has a specific number of spaces in the car lot. The reason for that is because we permitted car lots in the past and have not regulated the number of cars, and sometimes we see double the number of cars that we had envisioned being there. So specifically, it says how many can be there. The Planning Board at its July 3rd, 2014 meeting unanimously voted to recommend approval of the conditional use permit request to allow for automobile sales on the property located within the B3 zoning district. The Town Council is now requested to review the petition for the conditional use permit to allow for an automobile sales lot on the property and make a decision in accordance with the finding of fact of which it's attached. In your packet, you will find the finding of fact starting on page 27. There are 4 items of finding that the council must take into consideration, and then based on the outcome of those findings, then you must act on a record of decision. With that, that's the end of the staff's presentation. I stand open for questions.
Paul, based on what I see here, it looks like the area in the front there where the cars are actually going to be parked, and it looks like the drive going to the shop off to the right side there, that's all either going to be asphalt or concrete, is that correct?
There is a area that's labeled 15-foot buffer yard in the front. That area will be a landscape yard. It's a street yard as well as the side property lines in the rear. Might I add that Mrs. Holden is working with the adjacent development to have a unified look on Dudley Street. And the development that's going on this property will have a fence and landscaping as well as hers. And it's the intent to have one contractor to do both. And so it will look unified on the whole presence of Dundee Street. But the property will have to be landscaped as according to the landscape code.
That says in here with asphalt or concrete, page 51.
Page 51. What paragraph, Mr. Harris?
Number 2.
It starts by saying all minimum buffer requirements shall be installed prior to operation. That's what I was referring to landscape, and that the areas used for automobile parking and display will be installed with either asphalt or concrete. So the actual display area of where the cars will be parked will be paved, but there will basically be 15 feet on the street yard side that will be unpaved, down each side property line 8 feet, and across the rear 12 and a half.
Any other further questions?
I have one question, Mayor Pro Tem. The office building that's proposed, is that a permanent structure or is that going to be a temporary structure?
It is a modular office building, and those are permitted by code. North Carolina Building Code allows those and permits them. It is not a mobile home. It is a made-to-order modular home, not modular home, modular office, and those are seen all the time. It's very similar to what you would see as a construction office, and we have several of them now. You cannot use mobile homes for offices anymore in the town of Smithfield. That was passed by the council back about 8 years ago to eliminate that.
And one other question. The shop, is there automobile repairs going to be there just for cleaning, detail, that kind of stuff?
I will let the client answer that question if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Paul, I got a question. Could you explain again about the stormwater retention, whether it be required or not required, and what our options are?
In the original conditional use permit that was issued for the property, there was a stormwater management facility shown. It was never constructed. And I don't know quite the reason why, other than That was done before I got here, and we kind of inherited it, and so we basically just told them they couldn't display vehicles over there until they constructed the stormwater management facility. After a period of time, we felt that it's best to relook this now into the possibility of stormwater. And our ordinance is driven on the percent of impervious that was on the property in the year 2001. And the reason for that is because we have aerial mapping that we can delineate how much impervious area was on the property. And the ordinance is triggered if you exceed the existing impervious area that was there in 2001 by more than a half acre, then stormwater is triggered. And this is kind of right there in the balance point, and our stormwater engineer is looking at that, and Mrs. Holdings' engineer has submitted that information to the town, and we're reviewing it now. So the decision will be during the document development stage of the project, the plan approval.
So our decision tonight won't affect?
No, it will either, you just permit, you're given the use, and you don't have to conditionalize it, because if it's required, they'll have to do it, and if it's not, they won't.
So at this time, I want to go back to address Councilman Scott's question regarding the shop. Is the applicant available to address that? If you will,
Andrew
please.
Hodge with, from 723 South 3rd Street. And the shop is mainly for detailing, like you said, detailing and maybe changing a tire, just getting a car ready that might pass inspection so it can go on the lot. No mechanical work. That's the intent.
I don't want to make a correct engineer, but there would be a possibility that, I wouldn't want to limit it to just detailing, that if there is minor repairs to a vehicle, the assumption would be that the owner of the automobile lot would want to do those repairs on site.
Is that something, Paul, that is properly before the council, the auto repair shop?
That is a right by use within the district, as long as it's done inside a building and that there are no more than 6 cars associated with storage with the repair part of it. Once they go beyond 6 cars, that becomes an outdoor storage issue, and yes, it does come back to you for approval for that. But if someone were coming in here and applying to put a garage on that property, we would not be even in front of you. There would be an administratively approved site plan.
Any further questions? Ms. Holden, do you agree with the testimony that Mr. Hendler presented earlier? Do you have any other information that you would like to present to the council?
Only to say that...
If you don't mind, would you come up to the microphone? Thank you.
Just that this is not going to be technically a new or additional automobile lot, that the person that is actually on the corner is, we have sold the corner lot, and we are technically moving him over to the adjacent property. So I thought you'd want to know that.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from anyone else that's sworn to speak on this matter this time?
I got a question, Mayor.
Okay. Any other questions from the council?
Mr. Emler, the applicant stated that this is going to be a relocation of the car lot. Do you know if there's been any violations at the car lot that's currently there?
Not currently. There have been some code violations in the past, but it's been several years ago when he first moved on the property. We had some signage and display issues, and our code enforcement officer have approached him, and he's basically maintained it within compliance since that time.
If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Close the public hearing.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Are there any other questions or discussions from the council to staff or comments? Okay. This time, we'll move to the finding of facts. We can address these individually, or if we don't have any issues, I think it's appropriate that we can make a motion in the affirmative for all if there are no issues.
Is that a motion?
No. I'm not asking.
I move that we approve all findings of fact 1 through 4 in the affirmative.
I'll second it.
All in favor? All opposed, like so? Motion carries.
I make a motion we approve the conditional use permit.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you.
All right, and this time I'm taking the meeting back over, and who's? All right, this is a citizens' comment time, which we open the meeting for brief citizens' comments. Is anybody would like to come up and make a citizens' comment about anything?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
State
Council. Since this is a night of recognition and commendations, I figured I'd come up and lend my 2 cents in also. As some of you are aware, we had the East Smithfield Improvement Organization had a meeting, an event at Smith Collins Park on July 26th. So the organization just felt it necessary that we recognize a few people to let them know just how much we appreciate it. And I do have several members of the East Smithfield Improvement Organization here tonight, so if they would please stand just for a brief moment. Lucy, Alan, Alice, Ralph. These are just a few of the members of the East Smithfield Improvement Organization, but we'd like to give a special thanks to some of the contributors and supporters of the event. And these are just some of the businesses and churches in the Smithfield community that we felt like should be recognized as good neighbors. First of all, there's RADA. Stan is here tonight from RADA, the Raleigh Area Development Association, Guy C. Lee, Walmart, Chick-fil-A, Dunkin' Donuts, Sheetz, Applebee's, Taco Bell, Burger King, Sun Auto Wash, FOP Lodge number 88, Whitley Groceries, the Smithfield Men's Progressive Club, Johnston County Citizens Association, Mount Zion Church of Deliverance, Evans Chapel AME Church, Mitchell Memorial Baptist Church, St. Peter Church of Christ and Disciples of Christ, and Shiloh Christian Church. All these contributed significantly to the success of the event. And now I'd like to recognize a few of you folks from the town government that helped make it happen, and read a short note to be made part of the public record tonight. First of all, we'd like to thank the town of Smithfield Town Councilman, the Mayor John Lampe, Town Manager Paul Sabiston, Parks and Rec Department, former Director Tim Johnson, Mr. Dale Ham, and Interim Director Gary Johnson. The Planning Department Director, Mr. Paul Embler, the Smithfield Police Department Chief Michael Scott, Sergeant Brian Obranovich, and Officer Cook. And the letter reads, on behalf of the East Smithfield Improvement Organization, we would like to thank you for your generosity and acts of kindness. Our Fun in the Park Day was a huge success because of all of you. We look forward to future endeavors with you as a partner. May God continue to bless you as you have blessed others. Sincerely, Tony D. Nixon, Chairman, East Smithfield Improvement Organization, Lucy Washington, Vice Chair, East Smithfield Improvement Organization, and Ms. Alice King, Recording Secretary. We'd like to have this submitted as part of the record for the evening. The event, we had entertained over 200 people. Because of those generous contributions and donations, we gave away over 500 hot dogs, 40 pizzas, snow cones, sodas. We had a great day in the park. So we want to thank all of you again for all of your support in renovating and bringing that Smith Collins Park back to a position where it could be utilized by all the citizens of Smithfield. Thank you.
And Tony, just real quick, I want to thank you and Councilman Lee and everybody for everything that you did with that. I wasn't able to attend this year. I was out of town. I did attend last year. And if the event this year was anything close to what the event was last year, I know it was just an awesome, awesome day. So I applaud everybody that took the time and the planning to go into that event.
And I agree. I heard a lot of good things, but I was out of town also. I heard it was a really first-class affair. Yeah, some money, yeah. All right. Is there any other public comments?
Mr. Mayor, this is Paula's last night celebrating Smithfield County.
Oh, I was going to bring it up. Paula, would you stand up and be recognized? Paula is going on to bigger and better things, and hopefully a better career, but she's moving to Chapel Hill. So, and leaving Smithfield. Have they hired your replacement yet?
Yes. Her name is Laura Finale. She'll start at the beginning of September. And between now and then, there will be an intern from the News and Observer covering.
So we can go wild in the meantime. All right. I'm going to close, if there's no more citizens' comments, I'm going to close the citizens' comments section. And we have a consent agenda, which we've had 6 items, and we've added 7 and 8 to it. And then we added, on the business side, items 2 and 3 to consent agenda. We've already made a motion to approve, so we can skip all those items and go straight down to business item number 1, adoption of a 5-year capital improvement plans for public utilities.
So Mr. Mayor, just for the record, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Oh, we already have.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I'm sorry, I thought we already approved that. We just approved that. Dog. Now back to business item number 1. Ken, come on up. Ken, if you can keep under 3 minutes, we're going to try to get this whole meeting over with in 1 hour. So we got 11 minutes left to do this meeting.
It'll be all right tonight.
As you know, this application that we're making is a very competitive one. It's a wonderful, it's essentially a 100% grant program. We are sweetening our application by having a small match. But it's a very competitive application, and the way Diener evaluates the applications, since they get many more applications than they have funds for, is on a competitive basis. And they look and see whether the town, specifically the utility operations, are being operated in a sound fiscal and daily operational manner. They want to see all the policies and procedures that you should have for sound operation to have those in place. And one of those that you do get points for is having a 5-year capital plan. You do, as part of your annual budget, consider capital projects for each of our departments, including for the water plant. And as part of our budget submittals that we submit to the Chief Fiscal Officer, we project out what expenses we'll be asking for in the next 2 years. So we, in effect, had what equaled a 3-year capital plan involving the water plant and the water and sewer operations. We made a preliminary submittal to Diener to see if this would be acceptable, since this is how we operate, and they indicated that we would not receive the points with only a 3-year capital plan. So the suggestion was for me to take the worksheets that I prepare for the fiscal officer, take a look a couple years out and project some items that we might submit to you as part of the annual budget, and package those as part of a 5-year capital plan. What you see before you is exactly that. Of course, it's with the understanding that only expenditures that are approved by you as part of the next year's budget are ones that we're authorized to carry out and we're directed to carry out. These are simply items that we're thinking about. It's future planning that we'll do more work and develop and submit to you as part of the actual budget submittal that the town manager and the council consider over a number of months. But what I'd like to have is your adoption of this 5-year capital plan with those caveats I just gave you, and then we'd be eligible to submit this and receive the points and hopefully be that much more competitive in terms of this very competitive application process.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the 5-year capital improvement plan as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have one question for the manager. I don't disagree. I'm glad we're moving forward this. It's very interesting that we planned this. Just to clarify for the record, this is not written in stone. This is just a plan.
That's right. In the first year, you see the budget, which is actually the first year. Those have been approved that first year. Y'all approved that with our budget for this fiscal year. Everything else, it changes, and actually it usually does change almost every single year. So we try to update the plan every year, every 2 years, and just get it on track and try to keep it out for 4 or 5 years. You know, some things get moved. Doesn't happen one year, it gets moved to the next year, then we accomplish it that year. So yes, you're absolutely right. Nothing is done until it's in the budget, basically.
But this is a great idea, and we've sort of been looking at this for some time. We need this type of thing for planning, so we know what we're going to be facing with.
Well, you're exactly right. This exercise is actually a good exercise, and it forced me to put it on paper, some things that I've been thinking about, and so I will developing these further for you as part of your consideration for the next budget.
All right, any more discussion?
I just wanted to say that I know the smart grid system is in this 5-year project or 5-year plan. I think it would be wise for us to have a little more discussion on that smart grid since we're going through this electric change down the road, whether we're going to be in the electric business, number one, where it would be prudent for us to continue on with that if the council felt that perhaps we may at some point want to look at getting out of the electric business. That's all I would say.
I think to address that, this upcoming year, you're doing a sample or a small startup of the smart grid.
We are about to start on having the pilot. We've signed the contract. We've selected the homes. Many of you would fall in the areas that we have selected, and you would have a chance to participate if you would like to. I think it'll be a very interesting situation. This is the pilot that we'd be carrying out and providing the information to you. Related to this also, and Mr. Savaston, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe on September the 16th, the town manager has scheduled a work session for you to take a look at electric rates and electric utility in general, and some of the issues that you bring up, Councilman Harris, we plan on discussing for you.
Any other discussion? I've got a motion to approve and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Go down to item number 4, presentation of schedule for department reviews by town manager.
Mayor, on page 199 of your packet, I've given you the outline schedule for what is basically an internal department review, department by department. And I've started this review initially, which we're underway now, with our finance and water plants department. And it's been good. It's been instructive. We've got a sampling of questions, and they have to be adjusted for each department. And then we've got a few things we've added, a few things we've taken away. So I think by the time we get to probably our second or third group, we'll kind of have it down. And basically what I'm doing, as proposed a few months ago, is I'm going in internally looking at every department, and then going to provide the council with kind of a preliminary response and a report on some of these questions and issues. on the operational side, on the administrative side, and, every department's a little bit different. Some of them push and administer a lot more on paper. Some, like the water plant, are much, much more nuts and bolts on the mechanical side. So it's just a different framework of questions and analysis from department to department. And some departments that are undergoing their own kind of internal review already, like the police department is probably the best example, going through the CALIA certification. They've done this times about 10 different levels of review and improvement. So they're going to have it's going to be actually a fairly easy exercise for them. The other departments that don't really have that opportunity for those kind of certifications, it'll be a good time to kind of look at. And many of these departments, they haven't really had to go through this before, and it's understandable. Most just look at things every week, every month, every year. They're just looking at it. But I think sometimes if you don't just take a breath, put it at arm's length, and take a look at it in writing, it's easy to kind of miss a few things here and there. And the point of this exercise is really just take a good hard look at it, invite the council to review, ask some questions, and we'll come back to you with answers, or go back and get more information and bring you back additional findings. The idea you see here in the schedule is to kind of have 2 to 4 departments kind of moving at the same time, so that we're not just doing 2 and waiting for them to be completely accomplished before we start the next 2. And we can do that, I can do that, and really be involved with them as I kind of start wrapping up a couple. 2 are on the way and 2 more are getting started. It'll give me the ability to kind of not spread myself too thinly, but also keep it moving as quickly as possible. You see the schedule here. You can see that in the August timeframe, we'll have the initial reviews. In fact, I've got one department back already, waiting on another one, but they're pretty close to get their preliminary question and answer model forms back in mid-August here, which I will give that to council. And again, that doesn't mean it's done. That just means here's a first look, and if you've got questions, you can send them to me, or we can talk about it and get some more feedback. I think it really gives you an opportunity to kind of look at stuff from the inside, get a good look, and I think everybody, one, they'll learn a few things. May not have a question, that's fine too, and give us some input so we can, try and make sure we're doing things the way that everybody wants them to be done. That's what that is, Mayor. I wanted to give you, as promised, just a schedule and an outline of how we're doing this, and I think it's a good process. I enjoy it. I kind of refer to it as an operational audit, and I think it'll provide us with some good results and give us a good look at what we're doing and some goals for the next, 6 months to a year to accomplish. Sometimes longer than that.
Thank you, Paul. Is there any questions for Paul?
Paul, you normally, during these reviews, you'll walk through, or are you just getting feedback from the department? It's just for clarification?
No, we do a walkthrough and give an idea on the water plant. In my report, I haven't gotten my manager's report for the month. On the back side of that, you've got kind of a question and answer on just some things that have come up, from worker safety to just getting stuff updated and maintained, and even some other internal suggestions from Wooten Engineering, who met with us one afternoon a few months ago. And you'll see that's kind of an idea for that department, water plant, what we've looked at, what we've done, and what we're working on still. And that was a walkthrough on several occasions. I had people from the inside and the outside who went through the initial one. I've been out there a couple times, and we'll keep going back out there. So it is an on-site inspection. Of course, it's one thing to do that for a water plant that's got a lot of mechanical features. It's another thing to do it for the planning department, which has, a few desks and carpet. So it's a little bit different operation there. Police and fire are somewhere in the middle there. So, but I do go out there myself, and I try to invite outside people, whether they're just in the community or other people from other towns, to kind of help me with that assistance. Okay.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Move on to the next item. Patrick Harris, come on down. Let's talk about part-time hourly rates.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. It's the request is really, if you will recall, we were utilizing 2 part-time fire inspectors, not to exceed 32 hours a week for both of those combined. Historically, we've paid those individuals at the very minimal starting rate of the town of Smithfield's pay scale for Fire Inspector 1, which is about $18.12 per hour. And what we're finding ourselves in is a situation where we're trying to utilize very seasoned and very experienced inspectors that have multiple levels of certification level 3 fire inspections. We are trying to utilize those folks because they require very little supervision. They know exactly what they're doing. They can assist with plan reviews. They're very good at what they're doing. Problem is retaining them and attracting them for that hourly rate. So what I'm proposing to the council today is to pick the mid-range of our current salary scale for Fire Inspector 1, which comes in at about $22.92 per hour. As a matter of fact, that's exactly mid-range for Fire Inspector 1 under the town's pay scale. I'd like to have the opportunity to utilize that in situations where the inspector is very seasoned, they're level 3s, they bring a lot to the table, give us that flexibility to be able to do that. We recently lost an inspector for essentially another agency was paying more money. So we're doing that in an effort to attract and retain good seasoned fire inspectors. And it is within the town's pay scale. There's nothing changing. We're not reclassifying any positions. And there is money in the current fire department budget that would absorb that change, if so approved. I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Any questions for the chief? All right, so what how much do you think you end up paying? Are you talking about $18.12 an hour is not making it right now? Roughly, what do you think you're going to be?
The $22.92 per hour is what I'd like to move both of those positions to. Now, we will be advertising for the second of those two positions because we recently lost the inspector that was in there to another organization.
All right. Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as requested.
All right. I got a motion. Have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
All right. This time, we're open for council members' comments. If any council member would like to say something, have at it.
I would. Recently, I had a citizen come to me to talk about his feelings on touting Smithfield as having a very large potential and going after a retirement community PR campaign of some type, and had a very interesting conversation with the gentleman for a period of time in my office. And it was interesting that in Sunday's News and Observer, I don't know if anybody happened to see it, there was an article in the work section about retirees moving to North Carolina. I don't know if staff saw that or not, but in that article, it said that in 2008, the General Assembly created the North Carolina Certified Retirement Community Program for smaller, many times lesser-known cities who can earn this designation by demonstrating that they offer a high quality of life for retirees. Once certified, cities are promoted nationally through the state's Retire North Carolina Marketing Program. Currently, there's 10 cities involved in that, and I did go to their website and I did read up on, it's an application process that you go through. Based on what I saw, we far exceed the requirements for a community to be designated as a certified retirement community program, and I would like to ask our town manager and his staff to take a look at this and to report back to us. I've got part of the article here that I'll pass over if you want it, Paul.
Yes.
And I would like to see us get some information back from you guys and get started on that. And in the future, I would like to have some further discussion with staff and the council and the community about the opportunity we have here in Smithfield for retirees.
I think it's an excellent point, and Paul, Rocky Lane can probably assist some with that. We've had those discussions actually on the Economic Development Committee, and the presentation that he gave, we actually discussed this same. I don't believe you were at that particular one. But we actually did discuss that, and he has some experience in getting the certified, getting areas certified. So.
No, it'd be great for a little bit about it, but we'll get you some information and see if we can't go through the process.
Any other council members' comments?
I would like to make my monthly report on the, for lack of a better term, scandal that has hovered over Smithfield. And I first wanted to say to not only the public, but to the council members, my goal in making these reports is to put this whole matter in a rearview mirror. My timetable is that this matter will be in our rearview mirror by Thanksgiving. I want to prepare a written report that will be reviewed and approved by this council and then submitted to the public. The report would include facts that we know, not much opinion or innuendo, just facts that we know now that we've not known in the past. In terms of the status, it appears as though most of the depositions have been taken in the pending lawsuit. We do have a mediation coming up. That mediation is later this month. And the other thing that I'll ask council to do when we're in closed session is that based upon some of the testimony at these depositions, I think that it will be part of our due diligence to report to the citizens that we may talk to a few employees whose names have come up in those depositions. That's something we'll address in closed session. But anyway, I know everybody, a lot of people are tired of hearing about this. The whole purpose is to get through this with full information to the public so that we do put it in a rearview mirror in a proper fashion. That not everybody's going to be happy, but they'll be happy with the process and what this council has done to address this and get it before the public. Thank you.
Mayor, I have one statement I'd like to make. It kind of touches on what Mr. Ashley has said. There's been a lot of facts brought to us, and there's still a lot of things that we're not sure about. And I understand that the district attorney's office is still looking into this case as well. I would ask that, since the dispositions have been gathered, to have the staff send that to them, possibly help with their investigation with the wrongdoing that appears to have taken place.
Well, all right, we'll do that. I don't think it's going to produce much results, but it may help. Let's try everything. I've called the DA. They've expressed no real interest in pursuing things real hard. Anybody else?
So I'd just like to just say that I thought the mayor and the city manager represented Smithfield well today at the State of the Community address. I think you both did an outstanding job.
I honestly believe the job I did was much better than the city manager's job. All right. Well, let's speed this meeting along. If everybody's through talking, I'm going to let the town manager give his report now.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to stay away from the numbers this time.
Yeah, please.
Mayor, just briefly, just going through my report, what you've got. As I mentioned earlier, attached to it, please take a few minutes to go through some of the items that we've accomplished at the water plant. Some of it's very minor, from painting to cleaning up stuff, but it's things that were just kind of there that just haven't been done in a while that have been addressed. Some of it's much larger scale than that, but please take a look when you have a chance to go through that. Other items. Just in a summary manner, we're very, very close on the crossings project. Most of what we're doing now, almost entirely, is punch list item. Some's a little bit bigger than others, but in terms of traffic and flow through, that is done. You've heard me talk for the last few weeks. We're still waiting, and Paul, I don't know if you've heard anything lately about the decal arrival, the painting, the order there for painting those big decals on the road. Anything as of today? Okay, so tomorrow morning, I know it's getting close, so hopefully when the paint's dry, you'll see 5 or 6 very large decals directing people through the roundabout, entering it to get in and out in a little bit more direct manner. So hopefully that'll help a little bit more with that flow of traffic. The repaving of Main Street in front of the building here, most of you can kind of see the markings there. It looks to me with the both lanes that they're about 2/3 to 3/4 the way through with that. taking a little bit longer as it typically does. They're doing the work at night. So again, I'd say another 5-6 days, they might be through with that. Does that sound about right, Paul or Lenny? I don't know if you've heard anything on that about their completion time. No? Yeah. Well, they've had some good weather, so hopefully it'll keep moving. We do have another meeting, which will be one of the last ones with Rocky Lane on Wednesday night, tomorrow night, with the Economic Development Committee. We're going to meet over here at 6 o'clock. I know Rocky's getting close. He was sick. We had a meeting scheduled about 2 weeks ago. He had to miss, so we're going to try to get through that, and that might be the last one or next to last one, I hope. He said he hopes to have that report out by the end of this month, so hopefully that'll come together. Also, I've got staff, they provided me with a schedule for their CIP purchases for this year. These are things that have already been approved in the budget, and I want to roll out. I haven't really done this in the past, but I think it'll be helpful for everyone involved. Once that list is kind of formalized, I'll share it with council. It's really just a list of when we're going to buy and purchase some items. They're already budgeted, so they're essentially approved unless they have to go through a bid process, and that, of course, will happen before they're actually purchased. But it gives you a better idea as to when we're actually buying some of that equipment or trying to do some of those projects. I know a lot of times, hey, we approved this in the budget, when are we going to do it? It's a fair question. We do try to hold off a little bit for cash flow reasons until November, December, because a lot of our tax monies don't start to come in until really in early December. So we try to hold off on some of the larger items until that time. That's why you'll see kind of a little bit of a slowdown until that time, and then we'll start picking up and getting those expenditures in place, starting pretty hard in December of this year. But when that's complete, I'll share that with you and give you a little bit of a schedule of how soon those will occur. I know you've heard a lot about this, just really brief. The asset purchased by Duke Energy, I think it was announced about a week ago now that the negotiation, kind of the handshake, and even the written deal between Duke Energy and the Eastern Agency was consummated about 10 days ago. So now it's got to go through the regulatory approval, both in North Carolina, some in South Carolina, and then with FERC, or the federal agency that's involved with that. They've got to approve it, and then also with the Public Utilities Commission. So that's about a year's worth of approvals that we're still waiting on. There's still a target to close this actual asset purchase by July 1 of 2015. But so far, so good. Really, a lot's happened in the last 6 months. They are on schedule. I'd even say they're a little bit ahead of schedule, believe it or not. We hopefully they can maintain that momentum and keep pushing this transaction through. Part of what we need to do to prepare for that, we really need to start a rate study probably in December, January, February. It'll probably be a 2 to 3 month study, so that by the budget period before the May, June timeframe, we'll have a good document before us that will give us some options. And again, we'll have to use some assumptions about what this transaction will bring to us, and we can do that pretty easily. So we'll have some options as to how we can incorporate these potential savings and rate reductions across the board and/or between and among the residential, commercial, and heavier industrial users. Because obviously you can weight it heavier with one group versus another, and that's what that rate set will help us. As mentioned earlier, we have got a tentative schedule to have a rate discussion, a forum really, just to share some information. We're going to invite some representatives from the electricity just in case there's some questions about this transaction or other things that are really outside of our day-to-day activities, and try to get some input from the public and share with the public what information we do know and what our plan is. So we're going to have a good, hopefully positive conversation. We have set that date for September 16th. I think Shannon sent something out to the council about that, so hopefully that'll be a good day for everybody. And I think it'll be a good meeting. So we'll have some information there. We'll try to produce some sort of a PowerPoint and probably a handout we can share with the public at that meeting. If there's something else you want us to have or have ready or provide, let us know. We'll try our best to get that ready for that meeting time frame. I think you got the word. I'm sorry?
Just important that the citizens will be allowed to ask questions during that meeting.
Sure.
What was the date of that meeting again?
September 16th is what we got a tentative setup for right now.
Tuesday.
I I know you saw it, just so the public understands. We did close the final financing with the USDA, which is a loan to wrap up the financing on the crossings project. So we still have some money that's in escrow and some money that we're waiting on from NCDOT. That's all based on completion of the project, the final consolidation with the primary contractor. But that's good news. That's a big step. That loan is now in place, and we're just making our payments. Right now, it's scheduled for a single payment per year. There's been some discussions. We might be able to net some savings if we spread that out and try to make quarterly payments. That might net us some interest savings. We're working on that to see if that's possible. The mayor suggested that, and we're trying to get some feedback from USDA and whether they can accommodate us on that request. And Mayor, there's other things in my report, but I'll stop there, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to address those.
I have a question on the finances, if I may. Make sure I'm reading this right. I hope I am, because it's great news. As I look at page 205, this is the year-end summary, and I understand it's not the audited summary, but it appears as though our revenues were 102.74% greater than projected. And our expenses were 91.46% of our budget, which means that we had revenues about 1.5 million over than our expenditure.
It's important to know, Mr. Ashley, that those figures are where we were at June 30th. During the full month of July and part of September, we are still paying invoices that come to us for the prior year. So those are to some degree rough numbers. We do expect to come ahead this year. It's to be seen in another month or so exactly where we are.
But we will be well ahead, so it's still good news. Unfortunately, the finance director, they always spoil the good news, and they'll take some back. They don't want to be too optimistic, but there are some bills that will come in later. But
So we pay our bills more than 30 days late, is that what he's saying?
I'm not sure. I think it's really more of it is some of the franchise tax and other taxes, you know, they get counted earlier in past experiences for years, so we're trying to cut it off and just do a 12-month period, and so he's adjusting that. But really, it's still going to be a very positive number, very positive number.
All
right. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, Section A3, 4, and 6.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.